Hello and welcome to the Helios blog. My name is Helios. Here for another reaction video. Today, Mikhaila Peterson talks about how men can attract women. Let's get into it.
The reason she's alone is because she's difficult.
Women are not accepting the bare minimum.
Women fuck men they respect.
All the women who say things like, I'm strong, independent, I don't need no man, like, y'all impress me.
Women just gaslight each other and say what they want to hear.
I mean, beyond, trying to shape your personality in different ways or behave differently, you can also just sort of put yourself in places where people might be more attracted to a more agreeable man. So if
women in general are not attracted to agreeable men.
Maybe going out to, I don't know, a nightclub or something is not the ideal place if you're more of, say, an agreeable or introverted kind of guy. But I don't know, religious services or libraries or something, like maybe they're more, women there might be more interested in a more agreeable kind of person.
Right. The implication is not all women are like that, right? But again, that's ridiculous. Women are on a spectrum, that's for sure, in terms of, how masculine they want a man. But there's no situation where they want an agreeable man unless they've already had their fun, had a child with a disagreeable man, and then they want another man to take care of that man using his that man's child using his resources, right? So the alpha seed beta need type thing. But so no, that will definitely not work. And by the way, religious services are like the meeting place for born again girls, right? She's like 32, she did illicit substances in the past, she's had 50 plus N count, but now she's found religion and you're to save her. Like, you gotta avoid girls like that at all costs.
And so definitely you can sort of put yourself in the right environment as well. But yeah, I mean, I think the dating question is fascinating just because I think it's just becoming more difficult for a lot of young people. I know guys who are, they have good careers, they have good income, all those kinds of things. And some of them had to make it a second job, basically, of like reorganizing their lives in order to find a suitable romantic partner. I think it's getting pretty rough out there.
Yeah, that's because girls swipe right on Tinder on only the top 4.5% of men. So make of that what you will. So most men get nothing in 2023. So there it is. It's not a surprise at all. And if you're not in the very attractive group of men, you have to work to be in the attractive group, because what is the other option? The other option is, the right girl will find me someday, and he'll be waiting forever, getting nothing. So
what does that mean, reorganizing their lives?
Yeah, so like a friend of mine, for example, he sort of changed the hours he worked at in order to go to cooking classes, because he just figured, he likes to cook and he wants to meet, a person who would want to cook too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to talk about this life reorganization thing in a second. Let's do the shilling. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit all the notifications, drop me a donation like Hunter M, Adrian R, and Tom M. Just click more in the link in the description. Buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks, and go to my Patreon and subscribe, patreon.com/theheliosblog. All right. So what this guy's talking about with regards to life or reorganization, changing yourself for women, that does not work. Because any man who compromises himself for girls is not the kind of man that women want. So you have to be really careful about this kind of thing. So that's not the strategy that men should be taking. What men should be doing is working to be a competitive, strong, successful man. And that's very hard to do. But it's time better spent doing that than chasing girls when you're not competitive. All right, let's continue.
Sort of going to the gym at the right hours, just sort of generally changing his habits and introducing himself to more people, getting his dating apps. Like, he had like a lot of input from different women and different people who could help him like portray, convey himself in the way that would maximize his chances of finding a suitable partner. And I think a lot of guys, they don't do this. They just sort of go through life and wonder what's going on. And other guys are realizing like, oh, it really is something you have to take seriously. It's not something that's just going to happen by accident for you. And I'm sure women are having in many ways.
Absolutely. You as a man, you cannot just sit on your bum doing nothing and get girls. You have to work for it, and you have to work really hard for it. That's absolutely true. And truth be told, no man, even the men that are highly successful, can just coast and do nothing to get girls.
It's the same kind of experience, but just speaking from most of my friends tend to be guys, and this is sort of their experience. And yeah, it really is. They're spending hours a week on this project of how to find a girlfriend.
Yeah. Oh, and look. Notice again the framing. How to find a girlfriend. You see? So this guy's clueless, right? Like, or at least the advice he's giving is terrible, right? It shouldn't be, how can I get a girlfriend? The thought process should be, how can I get laid, right? Because girls want relationships, men want bedroom fun. A man that seeks a relationship, when a girl sees that the man is seeking a relationship, she knows inherently he's not attractive. And because he's not attractive, she's not going to pick him for bedroom fun. The girl has to seek the relationship with the guy. The guy has to seek bedroom fun. So the actual goal of these guys shouldn't be, how can I get a girlfriend? The goal should be, how can I get laid? Consistently, with multiple different girls. The girlfriend thing comes after. It's putting the cart before the horse, right? And do you see how these guys that reorganize their lives, this guy that Mikhaila is interviewing, he hasn't revealed, right, that they have been successful in their quest. He just revealed that they've been doing this. You see?
Yeah, okay. Well, we could talk about that. But first, okay, so this kind of has to do with what you just said. This is from your article as well. Because of the increased risk women carry, they tend to be choosier about their partners. In contrast, men are less discerning. Studies of online dating, for example, find that most men find most women to be at least somewhat attractive. In contrast, women on average view 80% of men as below average in attractiveness.
There you go. That describes 2023 in a nutshell. So men bell curve women's attractiveness, right? So the average girl is average, the above average girl is a little bit more attractive, and so on a rating scale of 1 to 10, let's say. But for girls, 1 through 8, unattractive, and then only 9 and 10 are even seen, right? And they bell curve all the guys in 9 and 10. The same way that guys bell curve 1 through 10. That's called hypergamy. That's women's nature. The other thing that women have that men don't is called solipsism. So women have actually quite low empathy. They have trouble seeing things from perspectives other than their own. They are good at feigning sympathy, right? Or feigning that they care about something. But actually, they don't care. They're just doing it, to be accepted by the group. Solipsism means that women tend to generalize their own experience to the whole population and assume that their own experience is universally applicable, which is obviously wrong.
Another study found that on the dating app Tinder, men liked more than 60% of the female profiles they viewed, while women liked only 4.5% of male profiles. So this might be a problem that's way more prevalent for men. Yes. I didn't realize that 80% of men as below average.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that, Mikhaila, you've never chosen in your life a man that was below average. You're one of those girls. every single guy that you've thought was average in your mind was actually top 20. Or not in your mind, but to your hindbrain was actually top 20.
It's quite off.
It is. I mean, right, because, you know, you would think like 50%, right? It's sort of like 50% above and 50% below, but to have 80% rated below is pretty, you know, it's pretty grim.
Indeed.
But this sort of reflects our innate evolutionary psychology, you know, so a lot of evolutionary researchers essentially find that, you know, because men carry less risk for, during sex, right? They're less likely, even if they have sex with someone, they're less likely to contract an STD than women are.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so, well, I mean, because men's like organs are on the outside, whereas women's are on the inside, and that sort of affects, you know, the likelihood of contracting. But then also, of course,
Surface
pregnancy
area
itself is extremely burdensome, and you can imagine, you know, it's already burdensome in the modern era, but you can imagine, you know, 50 or 100,000 years ago in the ancestral environment where humans evolved, you know, like getting pregnant for a woman was it was a life or death experience in many cases. So as a result of this, women have evolved to be much more selective about who they have sex with. You know, they want a guy who sort of has, you know, good genetic quality, but also a guy who sort of could take care of them and provide for them and all those things. Whereas for men, the risk was so minuscule and the potential gain of having a kid was so high in evolutionary terms, right? In terms of, you know, having more kids. And so for this reason, I once had this line. I said this on our mutual friend Chris Williamson's podcast a couple of years ago now, which is basically that for men, the default when they evaluate women, the default is I would probably sleep with her unless there's some extraordinary reason why I shouldn't. And for women, the default is I definitely wouldn't sleep with him unless there's some extraordinary reason why I should.
Yep, and that actually describes men's versus women's strategy very well. So this is why my advice on first dates for men is to not talk that much, right? Because a girl that has agreed to go on a date with you is already saying yes. So you just need to not give her a reason to say no. And girls do say no with a very high frequency. Say one wrong thing on one date in the early stages of dating, and already she's going to not be interested in you. That's how a lot of women work. So if you mess it up in the early stages, you're going to lose a lot of the opportunities to get laid that you would have had.
So we sort of start from different positions. It's not exactly accurate, but I think it gets at this intuition that guys are just less picky, at least when it comes to sex. With relationships, it's a little different, but for women, much more selective, again, because of that risk of pregnancy and so on that they tend to carry.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Mm-hmm. That's a good line. Okay, so you were talking about dating profiles. Do you have, like, you've done a lot of research in this area about what to do. So do you know where men go wrong with dating profiles and what they should do? Is it like photos? They all have fish or something? There's a lot of fish on Tinder.
She's telling on herself. The only men I see on Tinder are men with fish.
I know it's okay. So a couple thoughts. So you'd mentioned before the study that I had cited about how so men tend to swipe right. They tend to like the profiles of more than 60% of the women that they encounter, whereas women only swipe right on 4.5%, right? So very, as a guy, it's very, very slim odds. So where they go wrong, the fish picture is interesting. I talked to one of the former product guys at Tinder, and he told me that actually fish pictures tend to do pretty well. Surprisingly well, and we both thought it was funny because we're both aware that there's this sort of trope that people make fun of it, like, oh, the guy with the fish, but apparently, and I make fun of it too, but I mean,
it's not about the fish. It's about what are the behaviors that the guy that catches the fish does that the average guy doesn't, right? So guys that go and fish are outdoorsy. They probably exercise more. They get out more. Like, these things lead us, or at least lead me to believe that he's probably more physically fit, right? More physically fit means that he's more likely to be in that top 4.5%. It's not about the fish, actually. It's about meeting that top 4.5% bar.
Apparently, if you have a fish picture, it does slightly increase the chances for a guy. You know, I don't know about how much, but it's better than average. Other things that guys can do. So this is really interesting. Is having a dog. This is something that I think we all know, but it's actually a huge benefit to have a dog in your dating app picture. I think it's something like you're twice as likely, or it might have been like 60% as likely to be liked if you have a dog picture. If you have a cat picture, you're actually less likely to be liked by a woman. If you're a straight guy, so if you're a straight guy looking for a female partner, having a cat is detrimental. So don't have a cat. Apparently for gay men, it's a little different. I think gay men actually, they have a slight preference, I think, for guys who have cats.
So there you go. Although, again, guys, if you are compromising yourself to get a girl, then there's something wrong. So it's like, I'm unattracted to women, therefore I'm going to get a dog, is not the way to go. The way to go is, I'm unattractive to women. I'm going to work to be competitive because that makes me attractive to all women, and then I'm not going to worry about this garbage, right? Because again, women only swipe right on the top 4.5% of men. So if you want to be swiped right, you have to be at a certain level of attractiveness.
But if you're a straight guy, yeah, don't put a cat. Get the dog. One other thing that guys could do, and this is a little bit more involved and burdensome than just, you know, going out and asking your friend to borrow his dog for a picture, is continue your education. So there's research showing that basically what these guys did, these scholars did, they took a picture of the same guy, same profile, and the only thing that changed was whether he had a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And the guy with a master's degree got twice as many likes as the guy with the bachelor's degree. And so, yeah, if you're on the dating apps and you are, you know, sort of serious about finding someone, then maybe getting a master's degree would be wise. I think a lot of people are going to listen to this and say, "I'll just put master's degree on there."
Yeah, this is, again, stupid, right? Like, do you see what I'm saying? He's giving all the wrong advice. How about physical attractiveness? Has he ever mentioned going to the gym once? No, because he doesn't go to the gym. You can tell by how he looks, right? No, he's saying get a master's degree, become a bigger beta, right? Yeah, you'll attract 35-year-olds who've slept with 50 chads then. Think about it. It's like these guys, they don't make the connection at all between reality and statistics. They just blindly look at the statistics and they're like, yeah, whatever, just do this and it'll increase your chance of getting swiped on. Yeah, but by who? By 35-year-olds? That's not what men are interested in dating. What do 18 to 23-year-olds swipe right on? And what you'll find is that they swipe right on tall, handsome, attractive guys that are competitive and successful. And when I say that, I mean with money and who are physically fit, who have, you know, who have things that most men don't have, right? Let's continue.
But, you know, you should really get the master's degree. And it helps for women too, surprisingly. I think a lot of people are uncertain about the benefits of education for women's romantic prospects, but actually women who get master's degrees, they did the same study in the same set of researchers and found that women with a master's degree get around, I think, 10% more likes than women with a bachelor's degree. So it's a slight advantage. I don't know if it's enough, if you know, it justifies, you know, getting the master's degree for 10% more likes. But it is a slight advantage for them. And then, yeah, just generally, I've seen other, this isn't research, but this is just like opinions I've seen from women that, you know, sort of the bathroom selfie is terrible. Get like good pictures and those kinds of things. I found so there's some conflicting research here on social proof, which David Buss has researched and other things. So social proof is basically a lot of research finds that if a guy is in a picture with women, women who are observing the picture rate him as more attractive than when he's alone or with surrounded by guys.
Yeah, social proof is the concept that girls don't really pick men logically, they pick men based on emotions. So if she sees the guy with another girl, she thinks, there must be something about this guy that makes him attractive, therefore I see him as attractive. He has been already chosen, so I feel more confident in choosing him as well. So when he's with a group of girls, she sees him as more attractive because, well, all these girls chose him, so.
And the idea here is that, like, oh, well, if these women, especially if these are attractive women, are willing to, you know, be around this guy and tolerate this guy, then, you know, there's probably something interesting about him or something appealing about him, so they'll rate him as more attractive. But then when it comes to dating apps, guys who post pictures of themselves on their apps surrounded by women, they tend to get fewer likes than when they're alone or when they're with guy friends. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. I think one reason for this might be that, like, you know, women may not necessarily be super interested. Like, I think the picture may convey that, like, this guy is unserious, or that he just wants to, like, have, you know, short-term relationships, one night stands. He just wants to have flings, and that's why he has these pictures with all these women. He's just, you know, I think it gives maybe the wrong vibe. But this is, you know, I don't actually know. It's just speculation. Like, why do you think this would be?
Yeah, well, probably. I mean, if I looked at that, I'd think, especially if the women were attractive, I'd think, okay, that's potentially competition.
Solipsism. If I were there, I would think. Therefore, that's what other women would think. You see how that's a logical fallacy? Not all women are like you. Therefore, you can't use your specific experience to generalize the population. But anyway, yeah, let's continue.
And if you're on a dating app already, you're like, I just won't even get into that. I think it's probably that is like, maybe that's competition, and or if you want to think deeper about it, well, why is he showing other women on his dating profile? Right. But I'd say competition probably if it's attractive women.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah. So that mismatch was intriguing to me. I mean, in real life, there's other research showing, you know, what guys can do to maximize their attractiveness or to increase, you know, their appeal. There was research, for example, showing that a guy who carries around, so they basically had the same guy. He would approach women carrying a guitar case, you know, this case in the shape of a guitar, and he would ask women, you know, he'd sort of start a short conversation and then ask for their number. And he approached some number of women doing it with the guitar case, and then he did the same thing, you know, a few days later with different women with nothing, just sort of carrying nothing, just being, you know, regular. And so when he had the guitar case, he got many more phone numbers. And I'd wondered, I've never seen any research on this. I don't know of any even anecdotal stories, but, you know, if you're a musician, you know, have some, you know, carrying a guitar or some kind of instrument, I think that might be, you know, advantageous.
Probably.
Yep. Women are attracted to men that are musically gifted. That's obviously, I mean, we know this, right? Think of the groupie. This is obvious, right? And why? Because a guy who is capable of entertaining a whole crowd is basically an alpha, right? He's the guy who's creating the whole show. So by associating with him, she's making herself high value. You see? It's really that simple.
It depends on the instrument. Like if you're carrying around a tuba, I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, a flute or
clarinet. Yeah, clarinet. I mean, maybe with the clarinet. Yeah. I don't know. Probably not the flute or the tuba.
Yeah. I don't know. So what would be the most attractive instruments, do you think? So I mean, probably guitar, but like
The principle of this is that women like what's in fashion. So because guitars are considered cool, women like it, right? And I'm sure that's part of it as well. Because if tubas were considered cool by everybody, then carrying a tuba would make you more attractive, right? But tubas are considered lame, so there you go.
like how a piano? Like how would a piano look?
Saxophone might.
Saxophone. Oh right, yeah. There is the sort of jazz and okay, I can see that. Drums. How do you think women would see a guy with drums?
Oh, I'm probably wondering why they were carrying them all.
Well, not carrying, but like playing. What I mean is like if you're on the
That would start a conversation for sure. If the guy has like a million drums with him. If it starts a conversation, then you're already winning because most men don't get anything, right?
apps and you're sort of seeing or like on a website or something, and you see a guy playing the drums, I think like that might be, I think some women would
I think
find
that works. I think anything in a band like that, a guitar, a bass, drums, anything like that would work. Didn't one of the Kardashians just, and I could have this wrong because I don't really follow the Kardashians, but
That's not true because you're mentioning them. But anyway, we're going to stop there because I'm not interested. All right. Hit the like, hit the sub, hit all for notifications. Drop me a donation. Like Hunter M, Adrian on Tom M. Just click more in the link in the description. Buy my books at bit.ly/heliosbooks. And of course, go to my Patreon and subscribe. Thank you so much for listening, guys, to the end. I really do appreciate it. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you next time.